Edith Venter is a very simple, normal kind of person, I think, but maybe some people don't find me that way. I think my life has been incredible. I've been very fortunate in many ways and in other ways unfortunate. So I grew up in a very simple home, Edenvale way, close to the airport. And it was a lovely, very uncomplicated growing up childhood that I had. And of course, life sometimes has different ideas for us. And although I must say I was always more adventurous in that I wanted to go and experience things, and I knew there was a bigger world out there. And coming from a family of 6 children, you know, it was just, life was supposed to take a certain course, and I didn't know that that's what I wanted for myself. So when I got to leaving school, I thought, what do I want to do? And I went home to my mum, who was an incredible woman, and I said, Mum, I'm out of here, I'm going to go and work in London. And my mum, who was she always encouraged her children, and she said, that's fantastic. And so I went with her blessing and with my parents and everybody's blessing. Everybody was excited, came and waved me goodbye, and off I went. And that's when I think I really grew up, and I really realized that there was so much more to life, and I wanted to do so much more with my life. Did come back to South Africa and got married, and of course it was through marriage that really catapulted me into, if one wants to use the celebrity status. I find it sometimes a bit shallow, but because I think it all depends what you do with that status at the end of the day. Of course, when I found my life starting to change and that this was not going the way my parents' marriage had gone and forever after kind of thing, I realized that I had to make some pretty tough decisions. And I had 2 beautiful children, 2 beautiful sons at that stage. They were still very young. And I knew that it was going to impact hugely on them. But being a very positive, quite strong-willed person, I shut that door and I moved on. And I don't think I've ever really looked back, because I used it to my advantage. I moved forward positively. So when I started my business, it was a case of sitting down and thinking, I'm going to be on my own for the first time, because I was a single mom at that stage. And what am I going to do? And I thought, well, what are you good at? That's where I guess you should start. And I thought, well, through all my marriage and all those experiences, I love people. I've entertained hugely and quite dramatically. So why not look at that as a business? And that's how the events came about. I often sit back now and I think I started this as, well, it's going to be fun and it's damn hard work. But I think the best is that, yes, we do have some great corporate clients now. We do some huge events and exhibitions and conferencing and all kinds of wonderful things. But what's really meaningful is that often the events that we do also tend to raise money for charity organizations, because I've never lost that part of what I feel I really want to do, to make that difference in people's lives and their situations and the way they live. So when you hand over the check and you give that money to wherever you need to, and it's going to make a huge difference. For me, that's the essence of what I do, and why I get up in the morning and work hard and, sort of get on my bended knees. I always say I've got bleeding knees because I'm always begging for sponsorships or this or that or something, because of the charity work we do, not so much the corporate work. Because of what's happened in my life, I've now become this socialite, which the media often want to call me. I always say rather call me a social worker, because I see myself more of that than a socialite. But it's understandable. Of course, with that sort of socialite celebrity status, there's a lot of pros and there's a lot of cons to it. The pros are, of course, that you get invited to fabulous places, you get to meet great people, and you get to, network with incredible people and at great events. Of course, the downside of that is that you never have your privacy. And then, of course, we get to Edith the mother. So we've had the businesswoman, we've had the partner, the wife, the whatever, and now we have the mother. And of course, for me, that is the most important role, because I have 2 sons, and I basically had to raise them on my own for a good many years, and they're lovely boys. So Edith Venter, outside of work, is that I love to go and exercise. So I try and get there 2 or 3 times a week. I love walking in my neighborhood. I live in a lovely area, and for me, the joy over the weekend is going on like a 5K walk, a nice, good, strong walk, greeting people along the way. There's still so much goodwill in this country. You say good morning to people and they greet you back, and it's always with a smile. And you see all the dog walkers and people taking their dogs, and for me, that sort of, just makes me switch off. So Women's Day, which has now become Women's Month, because just like women who can't have a day, they need a month. So Women's Month, in fact, yes, highlights, I think, the issues in South Africa, which are very important, because I think we have made a lot of progress. We do have one of the strongest constitutions in the world around women, and yet if you do look around on a day-to-day basis, there are far too many women and young girls that are being abused, are being raped, are being, murdered. And for me, that's just not on. And that needs to really be addressed very strongly. So yes, let's use Women's Month to highlight that. And I think around the world now, if we look at the We Too movement, all of these things that have come to the fore where women are saying, sorry, this is not on. We do not have to be abused. We do not have to be touched inappropriately. We do not have to be quiet, because we fear for our lives and our jobs and our whatever the case might be. So for me, Women's Month is important, and I think each one of us needs to have the courage, if things do happen, to stand up and say, it stops here, and let's make a difference.